Shalom, shalom, family. Hope all is well with you and yours. Total for joining us in the study today. We, of course, value your time. We want to get you information that is useful and adds to your day. Of course, we are uncovering truths that have been hidden from us for a very long time. But as we know that time is over, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video. As you share, the algorithm will respond and get it to the people. And of course, that's what we want to do. We want to spread the truth to the people. Today, our topic is the scattering. Where are the Jews now? So this is just a part one in this series. So as always, Mr. Patrick, let's go ahead and jump right into the topic. Today, let's look at some excerpts from the book of Babylon to Timbuktu, written by author Rudolph Windsor. Many of us are aware of this book, but it's good to revisit, mainly because there's always some things to come back to because there's so many jewels in this book. If you do not have a copy of this book, you can find it online on many of the digital platforms out there. But we're going to look at a few excerpts from the book and see what it says about the different tribes scattered through the regions of Africa. On page 78, we find the Black African Hebrews of Egypt and Ethiopia. And it reads, according to the Ethiopians and the black Jews of this country, the Queen of Sheba gave birth to a son to whom they say Solomon was the father. Moreover, they say that other black Jews accompanied the queen back to Ethiopia. The name of the child to whom she gave birth was Menelik. This is also supported in the Hidden and Untold History of the Jewish People and the Ethiopians, Volume 1, where it claims that 12,000 Hebrew Israelites settled in and made their home there in Ethiopia. They're known as Bet Israel, or House of Israel. So not only are there Israelites that trace their bloodline back through King Menelik and Queen Sheba, obviously through King Solomon, but there's also this group of 12,000 that comes into Ethiopia as well with the queen and her son. They settle in that land. This group is known to this day as Bet Israel, which means the house of Israel. It goes on and reads, in this same century, Shishak, the king of Egypt, invaded Palestine. 1 Kings 14:25. Without doubt, he must have transported many Jews to Egypt and Ethiopia because he took prisoners with him, and his army consisted of Libyans and Ethiopians. Just like the word tells us, the Israelites are invaded by King Shishak. They become captive, and where are they taken into captivity? You got it, in the land that we call today Africa. Okay, so let's gather some more information from the book of Babylon to Timbuktu, moving down on the same page, page 78. Again, the incursion of the powerful army of King Nebuchadrezzar of Babylon in the years 698 to 675 into Palestine undoubtedly caused rapid and numerous migratory waves of Israelites to flee into North and East Africa. So the author here references Jeremiah chapter 44 and verse 11. And sure enough, Jeremiah does warn the people that they can run, they can go north, east, west, and south, but they cannot hide from what's coming. So this naturally would push the Israelites deeper into Africa. We know that it is written that we would be scattered to the four corners of the earth. But one thing that seems to be a problem for many people is the fact that Israelites moved and migrated and settled deeper into Africa by the droves. We know the records show that they did, as the book Babylon to Timbuktu here is pointing out. They went into Africa in droves. First of all, Yasharel again is in Africa. I don't think we state that enough. But it's common sense that you wouldn't go into enemy land. Okay, so going into Europe and going into northern portions of Asia would not be advantageous for you. If you're going to flee, you're not going to flee into enemy camp. And this is what this portion of the book is pointing out. Pretty much of the book is pointing this fact out. When we find Israelites in areas and nations such as Rome or Spain, Portugal, in most cases, it's not because they fled into those areas, it's because they were taken captive into those areas. We have looked at this before, that of course there are many Israelites that went into Europe. We went to the four corners of the earth. Okay, we went to the four corners of the earth. But make no doubt about it, The majority of those went deeper into the land continent known as Africa. That's where the multitude of the Hebrew Israelites went into and settled in and are still there to this day. So let's look at what the scripture says about that very thing, about Hebrew Israelites, Jews, Yehudi, Israelites going into Africa to flee or to settle or whatever the case may be. Let's look at what the word has to say about that. Let's get our first account from Genesis 12, chapter 12, verse 10. It reads, "And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land." Genesis 13:1 reads, "And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south." So we see them going down into Egypt in chapter 12 and 13. It says they went south out of Egypt. For those who understand Upper and Lower Egypt, we see Abraham and his family going into one region of Egypt and coming out of the other. Looking at Genesis 45. Genesis, the 45th chapter, 4th verse reads, "And Joseph said to his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." Here we know the story about Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers, right? And he tells his brothers, he said, "You guys come here, look at me," pretty much. "I am your brother, who you sold into Egypt, Mizraim." Now we know Mizraim is, according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, if you want to keep a Bible, Mizraim or Egypt is who? That's the son of Ham. We know Ham to be the progenitor of what? The dark races. So we believe those paintings on the walls, when they depict the original ancient Egyptians, original Mizraim, dark-skinned. We actually believe that. And based on the Table of Nations, based on Genesis, we can see very clearly that that's absolutely the case. Okay, so one more scripture, very important. This comes from the book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 38. It reads, "Are not you that Egyptian, which before these days made an uproar, and led out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?" Just in case some missed it. Okay, that was the question that was asked to the Apostle Paul. And it seems like they're giving him the third degree. They're asking him, "Aren't you that Egyptian?" They are mistaking him for an Egyptian. Very similar to what happened with Joseph and how they didn't recognize him. So we wonder what Apostle Paul looks like. Well, it's very clear. Okay, he looked like an Egyptian, an ancient child of Mitzrayim. We know that he was not from the tribe of Mitzrayim, but he was from the tribe of the Israelites. So that tells us a lot about that portion. All right, moving on. Okay, so let's get a couple more excerpts from the book Babylon at Timbuktu. Let's move over to page 90 and let's see what it says. Down at the second paragraph, it reads this way: "The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. This assured them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization. Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into the autochthonous population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturists, etc." So we see here that the Jews in Ghana are fully functional. And this is really a common thread with the Jews who had been scattered throughout the nations. We find this type of industrious living in Spain. We find it in Nigeria. As we see here, we find it in Ghana. And truly all over the continent of Africa. Even though we were dispersed, we were scattered to the four corners of the earth, we were still industrious, still prospering in those areas. But yes, we were scattered all over the place in definite large numbers in Africa. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I want to look at page 85, and I want to look at the historian, Greek philosopher Strabo, because in this book, Babylon to Timbuktu, he is used as a reference, and he says something very profound down on page 85. Let's look really quick at who Strabo is, okay? If you look up Strabo, you can find him very easily. So looking at what it says here, Wikipedia, we can use Wikipedia here and there, but Wikipedia tells us who Strabo is. It says that Strabo was a Greek geographer. He lived between the years of 64 BC to 24 AD. He was a Greek philosopher, a historian, who lived in Asia Minor during the transitional period of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. He is best known for his work Geographica, or geography, which presented a descriptive history of people and places from different regions of the world known during his lifetime. Additionally, Strabo authored historical works, but only fragments and quotations of these survive in writings of other authors. Okay, so going back to page 85 in the book Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolf Windsor, this is the second paragraph. Going down, it reads, the Greek historian geographer Strabo, 63 BC to 24 AD, said concerning the Jews of Cyrene, Libya, now these Jews already have gotten into all cities, and it is hard to find a place in the habitable earth that has not admitted this tribe of men and is not possessed by it. So when we just think about that, right, if we just think about what he's saying, he's basically saying that there's not a city you can go where you don't see Hebrews, Jews living in those areas. Strabo is confirming, and this is not his philosophy, this is his science that he's done, that the scriptures is absolutely correct, and that we would be scattered to the four corners of the earth. We are the ones that are in the unique position to say, yep, that's us. That'd be us. We're over here. You know, we over in Alaska and China and Philippines. People over there and all throughout Africa. Over here in North America, South America, the islands. We know this to be the case. I don't want to single anybody out, but there are certain places on the earth you're going to go where, guess what? You're not going to find certain groups. Areas in Africa, you're not going to find, but the native peoples, which are Hamites and other Shemitic people, and Hebrew Israelites, and the tribe of Yehuda. And so it's great that this is outlined in this book. This book is great, by the way, definitely worth the purchase and to add to your collection. And not everybody is going to agree with every single thing, you know, but the predominant information in the book is, to me, it's top notch. I really appreciate the work that he put in. Babylon to Timbuktu. As always, we say total to those who watched the video today. If you found anything of value in this video, make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, so that it can push the algorithm and to ultimately get this message to more people like me and you. Also, please comment in the comment section below. Drop a line and let us know what you thought about our topic today. And as always, Miss Pasha, till next time, shalom, shalom.